first started writing for Deviant Motions, I remember one morning I was sitting on my couch feeling kind of uninspired, in a bit of like a creative drought. So I reached for my guitar with the Tonewood-Amp on it and just kind of let the sound of that guide me. I just started playing and this pattern kind of emerged. This riff that was like kind of circular feeling and this kind of restless loop. I started hearing this vocal melody in my head, like this falsetto thing, and I just kind of saw like the end game, and it ended up becoming this song, If You Fall Apart.
All right. How's it going, everybody? My name is Jakey Thomas. I'm here with my good friend and ToneWoodAmp artist Jake Allen. Tonewood, man, those things are pretty cool, huh?
They're amazing, yeah. So like you saw in the ad there, it gives you effects that you don't have to plug in an amp for. So I got a guitar here queued up so we can like check it out a little bit further. So basically it connects to the back of your acoustic guitar via magnets. So you can just like take it on and it kind of just like comes and goes as you play this. And it's an amazing tool for writing music. So I'll just give like a little A-B comparison. So this is a dry signal. So we're not hearing the Tonewood-Amp right now. Cool. So then I'll dial in a little bit of the Tonewood-Amp and we'll hear. So it just gives. Oh yeah. So that's just coming like straight out of the guitar. There's no amplification whatsoever. It's coming out of the sound hole, literally. So you get this really, really nice reverb.
That sounds amazing.
Isn't that nice?
It does more than just reverb.
Yeah. So you actually got like some delay. There's overdrive. There's even like there's an auto wah.
Wow.
So it's pretty amazing.
That's awesome. It's like as a songwriter, you know, sometimes when you're looking for that inspiration, putting on just a delay pedal or a reverb or just something like that can really just take, you know, a writer's block and just all of a sudden take it away, and next thing you know you got some groove coming out of this delay or something. Like,
yeah.
Having effects can really just, I don't know, it's just like a songwriting tool that everybody should have, but it's like so hard to just gotta go plug the whole rig in and everything. So that is
it expedites that whole process of like having to set up a whole bunch of gear. And it also, one cool thing that I found about it, like in that clip that we just played, was it informs production too. So like later on down the road, if you you know, you can kind of already have an idea of what that guitar part is going to sound like once you slap the delay on it, and like how it's going to kind of blossom in a record.
Yeah, that's another thing. I mean, when I'm writing a song, I'll pull out my phone, do a voice memo, and I'll have to just be like imagining the full production later on. And when I'm showing it to a buddy or a bandmate or producer or something, it's like, oh no, right here it's gonna have this delay, and here it's gonna have this, you know, it's gonna be all big hall reverb on this vocal here, and trust me, it's gonna be really cool. But so yeah, that's awesome how that can kind of just sort of, like you said, expedite the process, and you can just get those ideas out quicker, essentially. Yeah. So
yeah, and so that's like a great foundational starting point for songwriting and for you know, songwriting with a producer's mind. And we're actually here to talk about producing today. So big thanks to Tonewood-Amp for letting us jump on here and chat a little bit about some of the stuff that I've been doing. I've started to offer production services kind of to the public now. So when we went into the pandemic and all of our gigs got shut down, as you know, and have definitely felt the pain of, I started trying to think of different ways to continue being a musician and being able to pay the bills with making music, preferably, while all of that was happening. And around that same time, I had a couple of people who were friends of mine, songwriters in different circles that I had known about, reaching out to me about producing some of their songs. Some of them some really interesting concepts to where, they wanted me to sing on them, or they wanted me to rearrange the tracks. And then I was just like, okay, well, that seems like something that I could kind of start doing more of, and being able to kind of make ends meet that way, because I mean, obviously I come from a production background, and I produce my own records.
Right.
Like, I spend half my life in this little room here.
It's cozy. It's cozy though.
It is. It's quite nice, really.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah. So I spend so much time doing it on my own that it's like, well, why not just like offer that to other people and really utilize my skills for the good of other people's music, and it's turned out to be super fulfilling, not only for me but for the people who I've been able to do it for.
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Like you said, with everything shutting down, especially for musicians and performers who definitely can't go out and do their job, having to find new avenues to make it work is, our challenge. And this is really awesome. And I think not only it's a great thing for you to have, but like for all these artists who are looking for, a way to get their song into something more, and something that they can be like, wow, something I'm really proud of and I don't have the means to maybe make.
Yeah.
And so producing is like kind of a mystical thing, I feel like, to a lot of people. They're kind of like, what does it mean? A lot of people will be like, I'm a producer, and it just means that they, maybe make hip-hop beats or something. There's so many different definitions for producing nowadays. Could you maybe just give a brief kind of layman's like thing for the folks out here in TV land?
Yeah. So I guess my kind of cohesive definition of producing would be shepherding a song from real life into a recording in the best way.
Right.
So, and a lot of the clients that I've worked with have never even done that. Like, a lot of them are people who have had a song that they wrote, like 20 years ago, and they just want to hear it come to fruition.
Right.
And they've never had an opportunity to maybe see that happen, or like, they don't play an instrument themselves. So a lot of these people are hobbyists. I mean, I work from the hobbyist to the professional, and everywhere in between. But for me, the job of producer it's a constantly changing role to play.
Yeah.
Because it just depends on the project. It's like, what do you need? Like, what does this project require? How much does the foundation of the idea need to be adjusted, and how much is already just there?
Right.
And there's songs that I've been sent that have needed a lot of fixing and rearranging and things like that. But then also there's totally proficient clients who send me things that I just have to say, okay, this is pretty intuitive, and I can figure out how this is going to sound great as a record really quickly. And working on each end of the spectrum, from the more intuitive things to the really intensive stuff, has been really interesting, fulfilling. I mean, it's been a learning process for me.
Yeah.
And I get to work with so many different genres of music that I just don't get to experience when I'm working on my own music.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a fun part of that whole process, is getting to dive into some, like you said, music you wouldn't normally produce. And
yeah.
So what I understand, producing is basically like helping somebody get the best possible outcome and fully realized version of what they're trying to create, right?
Yeah.
Kind of, they have an idea, and you're going to help them kind of keep them in the lines and help them be like, take it to the right spot.
Exactly.
Without sort of like, sometimes people might think that, I don't want anybody like changing my idea or adding their color into it or whatever, but really producers, they may do some of that, but they try to just basically help you get what you're trying to do. Maybe you can't put it all into words because you have all these ideas, and they kind of hear those ideas and help you go, this would sound good with maybe a acoustic intro, and then it builds into a full band, and then there's harmonies in the second chord, things like people wouldn't normally think about. They wrote the song, they think it sounds great, the lyrics and the music are great, but they don't think about those little things about how a recording specifically builds and grows and keeps you engaged, because performing is one thing, but a recording is a whole nother beast,
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, some of the people that come to me do have kind of a production ear,
right? And
they do know what direction they want to go with it. So sometimes it turns out that I end up being more of, because I'm a multi-instrumentalist, so I end up being a musician on the project.
Just a session musician, pretty much.
Yeah, and then I end up usually being the mix engineer, sometimes the mastering engineer. So it's all different levels of, just depending on the project, how much am I going to be a quote-unquote producer
Sure.
in this? How much does the artist already hear all of those things and just wants me to help them bring it to fruition? How much am I a co-producer, or just the guy who's taken it from, 0 to 100 or whatever?
So I've heard, I've heard productions you've done. I've heard your records. I've personally had music you've produced and bands that we've been in, and I've heard other artists who you've produced their albums. But that was in the before times, we'll call it pre-COVID, when you could just somebody could call you up and be like, I want to do this track. Can we come over? What days can we get in the studio? And it's really easy to work one-on-one, So obviously there's challenges with the pandemic of how you can work with somebody. So how do you do this remotely? I mean, what you're talking about, people sending you a song. What do you need from somebody to be able to help them craft their production?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Lately, I mean, I've worked from everything as far as like just a really rough cell phone recording that they might have made.
Okay.
To literally, one of the last projects I did was literally just a sheet of lyrics.
Okay.
And the guy had this song for like 20 years or however long, and he was just like, I really think this is a good song, but he's not necessarily, he didn't write any music around it. So that project was like, okay, I'm getting a sheet of lyrics and I have to build something completely around this, very minuscule thing.
So are you kind of pulling from the mood of the lyrics, like kind of going off what he's talking about, or were you that, and he also maybe presented you with maybe some reference tracks or something of songs he wanted to maybe...
Yes, so I usually ask for references, and he's kind of into like an old school type of sound,
right?
And his favorite artists are like Queen and Journey, and
of course.
So he was like, can you make it like that type of thing? And we ended up doing an acoustic demo of the song, which I've been offering kind of like 3 tiers of production. So the first one is like the acoustic demo, which is like, I'll take your roughest idea, no matter what it is, and I'll, write a song around it or work around the music that's there, send it back with an acoustic guitar track or a piano track, and I'll add my vocals to it if you want. Or if you want to send me a vocal track, I can use your vocals. Basically a la carte, whatever it requires. But this particular one was just totally like ground up. Here's some lyrics, write music around it, put your voice on it, and we'll just see where it goes. So I can actually play a little clip of that particular production. And this is just the acoustic demo. And as soon as I sent him this, he was like, okay, let's take it to the full production, like fully polished thing.
Right.
So this is one that's actually in production right now.
The tears running down my face are the rusted souls through time, seeing distant pasts through dustpan eyes. On eagle wings they must fly. Life in the soundproof garden, I wanna hear you calling, like a voice carried by the wind. But only the sun comes up for nothing, just along the glittering horizon. Only the sun comes up for nothing. At first light the songbirds stir. Only the sun comes up for nothing.
So yeah, that's like the super rough like acoustic demo.
Yeah.
Where it's just like take a track, and give back something that has kind of an arrangement to it. It's a little bit more fleshed out. And obviously, like I was saying, that was all from just a sheet of lyrics.
That's impressive.
And he said, make it Queenish, make it Journey-ish.
I got those vibes for sure from that, yeah.
Yeah, so now he wanted to go to the full production. And he is like totally about having that big, like huge produced sound of that era. So like a lot of vocals, a lot of like
strings and,
Brian May guitar work and stuff.
Sweet.
And So yeah, that was written by a guy named Don Richard, who I've actually known for many years. And he found out I was doing this, and he was just like, "I want to do something." So.
That's awesome. Yeah. So anybody out there who's got their ear perked up, kind of interested in this idea, that was a song he helped produce just strictly from a page of lyrics. So like we were saying, production can be kind of mysterious. There's a lot of facets to it. Jake's going to take your song and kind of do what you want, what you need. And that song, it needed some music. They gave him a vibe and gave him a sheet of lyrics, and he was able to create that, which is very impressive. Now, people who, like you said, are a little more savvy and, might have a more produced demo that they send to you. It might be something more that you just end up mixing, like you said, or maybe giving them some feedback and tweaking some things or whatever.
Yeah.
Working remotely again, I think I was talking to you earlier about this, and you were saying something about like being able to Zoom with a person. Like if they're doing vocal takes or something on their own at home, you can kind of Zoom with them and maybe give them some production advice, like, hey, maybe try singing this with a little different,
Yeah.
You can do that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you and I have worked together in the studio. On records,
but
and you know that my approach to vocals is like super intensive.
it is.
So when it comes to doing a vocal track, I mean, that's like the meat and potatoes of any song, really.
True.
So there have been a lot of techniques that I've been able to learn. I grew up in a studio. I was super, super lucky to have a dad who was a producer.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up around that kind of like continuously tweaking your vocal approach and using your body in different ways,
right.
as like,
right.
The slightest move of your body can make a note feel completely different. So
right.
It's like, you and I went through, like, I think when we were working together on the Cookies record, which was a band that Jacob and I were in the past, that I played drums in, kind of like a Motown funk disco band. We used a lot of like visualization techniques.
Mm-hmm.
So like ways to get notes out by like visualizing like orbs of light in your body and things like that.
Orbs of light in the body, over the rainbow.
Yep.
From the behind, that was another one. You really gotta sing from down there.
Yeah.
That one helps a lot. And I think that's speaking of production and little minute things that people don't really think about when they're just, I wrote a great song. Something like vocals and vocal delivery and being like, all right, when this song starts, instead of just starting it and singing it, like try singing it breathy in that first part to kind of bring people in, and then going more full voice in this chorus, and then so I think that is really beneficial for people. Like they don't really normally get that. Like they don't think about that. I see people at open mics all the time. They write a really great song, and they come out and it's just full bore the whole time, instead of those like starting off soft and building. So I think vocal production, like you said, it's the meat and potatoes of a song. So it's like really important to have that kind of one-on-one, like instead of being like, hey, I recorded a track, send it to you, tell me what you think. So you are able to like kind of do that with people remotely.
So the cool thing about technology is that can be done through Zoom.
Yeah.
So as long as I can hear like a decent audio playback from the other person, I've worked in a couple of sessions now where they're strictly vocal coaching sessions. So I will be like sitting there just intently listening to the delivery of a vocal, and it's often visualization, and I mean it's like it comes down to like putting the singer in a mental landscape that's appropriate for the song.
Yeah.
There was a song on the Cookies album, for example. Actually, it didn't make it onto the album, if I'm not mistaken. Morning Sun.
Whoa.
Do you remember that song?
Yeah, that was a good one.
So that was a song written by Richie V, who's the guitar player in the Cookies. And literally the only way that we were able to get that vocal to work was if he was stretching while singing it.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, I wake up in the morning. And it was just like, that was literally the only way that we could sell the song.
Man, making records is so fun, because there's just moments like that. I mean, I'm not to the degree that you are, but I'm also a producer and songwriter and stuff. And in the studio, it's just stupid stuff like that all the time. Like, I gotta sing like this, or what if I do it on a chair like this or something? And I don't know, just whatever. Like, I'm gonna sing it upside down. I don't know, like.
No, there's some really weird ones.
Yeah.
I mean, like I'm working with former drummer of Nine Inch Nails, Jerome Dillon, who I mean, which is huge. It's huge for me because like I'm a huge
It's like one of your
Nine Inch
favorite
Nails
bands,
fan.
yeah.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
anyways, we're working on a project where one of the songs was just like this really like insidious vocal track that like I really had to put myself in a weird kind of dark place, and I was literally like crawling around like under the studio desk in here like to get that type of vocal,
Yeah.
and you can hear that type of thing.
Yeah,
and
you
I mean
can.
it's like it's some that's an extreme, but I mean anything from that to like smile while you sing it.
Right.
You can hear the smile through the recording, and it can totally change the vibe of the delivery. So yeah, we're still able to do stuff like that through Zoom, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
And then yeah, actually I queued up a song if you want
Yeah.
so we can kind of get a feel for this vocal thing.
Yeah.
So there was a song on the Cookies record that Jacob wrote called Two Night Stand, and absolutely love the song. I think that the chord changes and just the overall song in general are pretty amazing and intelligent. So
Thank you.
here, just play a little bit of it, and then I'll play the recording that we garnered from this track.
Yeah, so as far as the Cookies writing sessions would go, I mean, we worked as a band and stuff, and Jake was producing the record. So if I had a song idea that I felt like, you know, was going to be a good dance song or whatever, I would bring it in, and then we'd go from there. I would do a demo with Jake, and, like, you know, we might talk about the feel that we're going for, and then he would kind of flesh that out from there. So this one started off like a slow jazz song, and I was like, if I speed it up a bit, it's a dance song, right? And that's pretty much all I had when I brought it in, and it was a vague drum beat idea. Right?
Met at a bar, hopped in my car. Turns out she didn't live too far. She wanted me to stay. We slept in the nude, woke afternoon, asked if I'd see her again soon. I ran into her the next day.
How much should I do?
Go to the chorus.
Okay.
She did admit that she was lonely, needing company, and that's how it began. It was a lonely two-night stand, phone numbers written on my right hand, yeah. It was a lonely two-night stand, yeah. Oh, oh.
Basically,
Yeah,
it was that idea, and we're kind of like, all right, Jake, we want like a Motown vibe, and
Yeah. So we went. I think we did a lot of pre-production on the track. Writing the bass line, I remember, was super fun
Oh, that was
because
really
we wanted to go for like that James Jamerson vibe.
thing, yeah.
And it was like, so the goal was like, okay, well, let's make it super Motown-y. Let's make it that the bass line is like super busy, but like kind of out of the way of everything. So it's like you can listen and hear like a lot of complexities in that
Yeah.
bass line, but like it's not, you know, hindering anything. And then there was some other fun things. You brought in a fun like drum machine.
Yeah, well, we got some. This old '90s Yamaha keyboard. I love that thing. But what I really loved about what you did with this track, that blew my mind, was we were going for the Motown feel. Like I said, we got the Jamerson bass lines. We got the bop, bop kind of guitar parts.
Yeah.
But then I was like, dude, Motown, you gotta have the string arrangement. You gotta have the string part.
Yeah.
And I know, you know, it's obviously hard to get orchestras and stuff, but MIDI strings these days are incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
it's real string recordings. But he wrote this out of this world string part and, like, you know, programmed it and did all this stuff, and it just took the song to a whole new level with these counterpoint melodies and harmonies and swelling and all this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways.
we'll play a little snippet of that tune here, how that song turned out on the Cookies record, Two Night Stand.
We met at a bar, hopped in my car. Turns out she didn't live too far. She wanted me to stay.
So yeah.
Yeah, it was a blast making that record. I mean, it was a lot of times I would bring in a simple little acoustic thing to you, and it would turn into this thing. And I'm, you know, like I said, I'm a producer too, and I have some simple home setup, but like not to the degree of you. And like, so I come in with a song like this, and to hear it turn into this, I'm like, I did it. We have a great song. Like,
Yeah.
But that was one where you kind of like, you know, I brought in an idea. I pretty much had the song written, and we turned it into what it needed to be turned into. But there was other songs on that record. You know, I came in and I had some chord parts, and you know, you might have helped me be like, all right, maybe try this chord instead. That's gonna lead to this better, and then maybe save this section for later and help. You know, so you know, it speaks to your abilities as a producer of like what the song needs. You'll be able to get it done. That one I said turn it into a Motown song. Boom, we got it.
Yeah.
The other one I was just referring to, Me, Her, and an Elephant. I brought in, I had a basic chord and beautiful melody thing, and I was like, this is potential. But as far as like putting that song together, you helped me figure out, all right, this A section, then maybe this B section, but save this other section for later, and then, you know, maybe do this chord instead here to lead into this. So, I mean, what I'm trying to say, folks, is he has a lot of different ways he can help you. So whatever your idea is, like he said, if you just have lyrics, if you have something like I had where it's like I have chords and a vibe that I want to get out, or even if it's something a full production, I mean, this guy has what it takes here to make it into, you know.
Well, I mean, like I was saying earlier, there's all kinds of different levels of how much you work with a client. I mean, with the situation between you and I, you know, you had very set ideas in your mind, and you had like some really great final visions. So in that case, it was like, it was my job to really like shepherd your visions in a lot of those cases into the final product. Whereas some of the time, you know, I'm working with clients who don't necessarily have a vision at all. And so it's like, how much are you going to carry as a producer through any of these given projects? And I think we have a clip queued up with just a few different A/B comparisons. Jordan, if you want to play that, this is like a good kind of like, this is what it sounded like before, this is what it sounds like after going through the production process. Let's take a quick listen to that.
Where is my head? Where's my head? So let me go, I'll be awake till I die. Where's my head? Where's my head? So let me go, I'll be awake till I die. Walk down past the drifters, past the hookers and the bums. On the other side of Grove Street, there's a fire in the slums. Walk down past the drifters, past the hookers and the bums. On the other side of Grove Street, there's a fire in the slums.
Here I am, what did you expect? Something more, something less than what it is you see. Here I am, what did you expect? Something more, something less than what it is you see. Here I am, what did you expect? Something more, something less, when all you get is me. How about me? How about me? It's harder than you.
All right, so yeah, that's what's possible, folks. I mean, you heard it. Some of those were just a simple cell phone recording, and they became these full-blown productions. Now, that last one there, I heard the demo, and then on the final track, I heard your voice.
Yeah. So that was actually a friend of mine named Jeff Oxford, who was kind of the one that I was saying sent me something towards the beginning of the pandemic and was just like, hey, can you turn this into a full production? and that's what got my gears turning. As like, okay, maybe I could offer this to more people.
Right.
And he had a songwriter named Jeff Fields on that track, and they wanted a full EP of like 4 or 5 songs, where I just kind of went wild with their songs and just did whatever I wanted with them.
Okay.
But they were kind of going for like this kind of classic vibe. I feel like a lot of the songs kind of like had this really kind of like singer-songwriter kind of approach to them that I felt worked well for my voice.
Okay.
So yeah, I can play like the A-B of those two of the demo of that song, which is called Bonfire West 3rd Street, and then play a snippet of what I ended up doing with it.
So this is what he sent you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walk down past the drifters, past the hookers and the bums. On the other side of Grove Street, there's a fire in the slums. Jackson found an open barrel, filled her up with scraps of wood. Mr. Ted's which is damn near feral. Now the fire is burning good. So have a shot of courage, satisfaction guaranteed, from a bottle of redemption, as we light one for the reed.
Okay, so here's the production that ended up unfolding from that track here.
Walk down past the drifters, past the hookers and the bums. On the other side of Grove Street, there's a fire in the slums. Jackson found an open barrel, filled her up with scraps of wood. Mr. Ted's hooch is damn near feral. Now the fire's burning good. So have a shot of courage, satisfaction guaranteed, from a bottle of redemption, as we light one for Louis. Watch the flames light up the sky.
So yeah, that one was like pretty intuitive. Like, it just had, you know, within the context of the demo, it just kind of already had like a natural push of the direction it felt like it wanted to go.
Yeah.
So this kind of like driving bass line behind it, and just this kind of like smokiness about it, I would say.
Yeah.
You know, it's about like homeless people having a bonfire in an alleyway. It's like pretty simple concept.
That's
but it's like-
kind of the vibe I was getting, actually. So I mean, yeah, you did a good job capturing that. I mean, I thought it sounded great, and like you said, the demo, yeah, did kind of have some intuitive way, you know, push you in a certain direction. But I mean, you brought it to life nicely.
Thanks.
Great tones, and
I appreciate it. I
Those
was
drums
hearing
was
like
fat.
I was hearing like a lot of like Blue Oyster Cult type of like guitar licks.
yeah,
In it.
haunted.
Yeah,
Almost,
haunted guitar sounds.
yeah.
And there's some like really cool licks like towards the end and stuff that it kind of escalates the song. But anyways, we got a question here, which if you guys want to ask any questions, feel free. I'm keeping a little eye on the comments here. Christine Murdoch says, Jake, are you playing guitar, drums, piano, etc., or is it computerized instrumentation? Sorry if a dumb question. It is not a dumb question. Actually, it's a perfect question because it's actually a case-by-case basis. So, like I said, there's the kind of 3 tiers that I've been offering as far as production goes. The first one's like the acoustic demo, which is like a real guitar, a digital piano, and a vocal. And then the next level is production demo, which I would consider like it's not a final track, but it kind of gives an overall arrangement to how the final production might go. And that one includes mostly like real guitar, real bass, but then like it'll be like fake keyboards, fake drums, and then that's kind of like.
Now, when you say fake,
when I say fake, I mean virtual instruments inside the computer.
Right, like so those are like real recorded samples that you're kind of just triggering maybe with a keyboard or something.
Yeah, they sound great.
Just to clear that up, yeah.
They usually sound great.
Real sound.
Yeah, the only thing is that, I mean, for me, like,
you don't
fake drums, like, unless you really get in-depth programming them, which some people do, and I do sometimes, like, they lack a bit of a human feel, which is like kind of the extra icing on the cake.
Yeah.
So then that kind of takes us to like the next level, which is like a fully polished production, which is like level 3 is what I would call it. So that consists of all real instruments, everything like meticulously recorded, and then just like intensively mixed. Because a lot of this, I mean, for me, like a lot of my approach to how I kind of like garner a nice end product is a lot of it is in the mixing. So with the full production, I'm kind of offering like the insane amount of focus that I would use on like my own record or like a project that I'm super invested in producing.
Right.
So that's been cool because like, you know, people who have different budgets can kind of jump into getting a track produced and get something for, you know, and it's cool because it's just one guy, so it's not like you're paying a team of people,
right,
or you're not going into a studio and spending hourly on studio time.
And that's the thing, studios do get very expensive, and studio time does get very expensive, so
yeah, it's ridiculous.
You know, slimming the team down, obviously, and slimming the, you know, the workspace to a, you know, contained place makes a difference for sure.
Yeah, and being able to play like all of the instruments,
yeah,
you
right.
know, that's like you don't have to hire out session musicians and stuff like that. It's like one-stop shop, ideally. So I figured like I could pile all of that into a service and actually like, you know, give people some of the skills that I've developed through working on my own stuff, through working sound gigs in the past, and through being an engineer in the studio as a kid too. So it's like kind of turned into this this one-stop shop sort of thing.
Okay.
And forgot to mention, I think you guys have been seeing it on the screen. If you submit a song for a quote on the Infinite Balance Productions website, today, before midnight, you'll be entered into a drawing to win a Tonewood-Amp, which is like awesome. It's like a $250 unit. So go to the website, infinitebalanceproductions.com, and there's a little form you can fill out with just like, you know, say some details about the project that you have maybe on the docket that you want to see come to life. If you have a link to a demo of it or a rough or a video or anything, put the link in there, and then just hit submit. I'll shoot you over a quote, and then whether or not you want to actually work on the track or not, you still will be entered into the drawing to win a Tonewood-Amp, which I think we'll announce tomorrow on the Tonewood-Amp site on the Facebook page. So go on there and submit something, but I do hope that we actually work on it.
yeah, that's a hot deal right there. The Tonewood-Amp is awesome. You guys heard it at the beginning here. It's amazing songwriting tool. Maybe it'll help blossom some of your future productions here that Jake does. Like I was saying, that's just to have that ease of access to just this creative, this toolbox of just sound effects to take it from just a simple acoustic to something, you know, more lush and insane, and give you that inspiration. So
yeah. So yeah, that's about the extent of it, you guys. That if you have any questions, go ahead and throw them in the comments section, and try to answer anything you might have some questions about. But yeah, I want to thank Tonewood-Amp for giving us the opportunity to jump on here. They're going to be doing Artist Workshop series, so a lot of the Tonewood-Amp artists are absurdly good guitar players. I play guitar a little bit, but some of these guys are next level, absolute monsters on guitar. So they're probably going to be offering like guitar lessons and workshops in that department. But at the beginning of every month, Tonewood-Amp will be doing a presentation showing one of their artists offering whatever program it is that they offer. Mine just happens to be music production. But there's a whole bunch of really talented cats on the ToneWoodAmp roster who are going to continue these types of streams and be explaining what they do.
Yeah, generally when I check out any of the ToneWoodAmp artists, I usually quit guitar afterwards, so I'm on about my fourth quit.
My fourth quit.
No, I'm just kidding, but yeah, really fantastic musicians. Jake included. He mentioned that he plays guitar a little bit. That was being modest. He's insanely good.
Oh, thanks.
I hunted this man down when I was younger to be in a band with him, and yeah, he's in his production skills. I mean, if you guys are familiar with him and with Tonewood, I'm sure you've seen him on here and seen what he's done, but his albums are meticulously done, and you know, but he's not like, Jake's not one of those guys who's just gonna like give you this like perfectly polished thing that's just like, how do you explain it? It's just like, it's just really pretty. Like you put character into it, you know what I mean? Like, you're not just fully left brain about it. Like, all right, I got the kick drum perfectly in the pocket, it sounds amazing, I cut out, you know, this, you know, 1K hertz or whatever, you know, like
well,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
I mean, there are projects where using restraint is
Right.
super important.
But what I'm saying is, like, you not only do that really high quality left brain, you know, making everything sound really crisp and high quality, but you also know how to add that little character in of, like, you know, maybe just like saying something dumb, like what's an example? Like we did it on our record a lot, the Cookies record, like just adding like with a drum beat, like a like with your mouth, like a like.
Did we do that?
Yeah, like in like Get It Together or something. You're like da da da, like I don't know, like those little things in the background that just add like this cool character in this bite. I usually refer to them as Easter eggs when I'm making an album.
Okay,
and I'm
yeah,
just like
yeah.
with my producer and my bandmate Andy, I'll be like, Andy, stop, let's just do this thing in the background, and whoever has headphones on, they might catch it. Those kind
Right.
of things, but.
Yeah, there's some. Yeah, okay.
Like
I remember some of those from the Cookie records.
Like what I'm saying is, you know how to make a song, not just like, here's your song, it sounds good, but like, here it has some life to it. It has character. It has like you said, you put these Blue Oyster Cult tones into this song. Like you know how to like make it come to life a little bit more than just like, here it is, it's perfectly mixed, it sounds great on all the systems, my car, my home stereo, my phone, like, you know what I'm saying? So that's I think that's a benefit of working with Jake. He's a creative artist mind person. He's not just he's got the tech skills, but he's also like a creative person. So, you know.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
love you.
I love you, buddy. It's really good to see. I actually haven't seen Jacob probably in a year, so it's amazing to have him be the guy who's talking tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Oh man, you've been an awesome MC. We have one question, kind of off the beaten path, but I suppose I could answer it. How would I go about recording from a device like my cell phone and cancel background noise? You could turn off the background noise. You could be in a spot that's very quiet.
Well, maybe they mean like, all right. So
you mean after it's recorded?
Like I sent you a phone recording.
Yeah.
That has my acoustic and my voice.
Yep.
And maybe they're saying can you extract the voice from that or something?
Right. Or they're happy with the recording, but there's a lot of background noise. There are tools that you can use. There is a great plugin that I've actually been using a lot recently on restoration projects, which is called Waves X Noise, and that does unbelievable things. So basically, you would let some of that noise play into the plugin, and then it analyzes it. It actually learns the noise, and then you click that learn button to toggle it on and off, and then it finds out what noise it's trying to eliminate, and then you play the recording back with it engaged, and it literally pulls all of that noise out of it. So, super technical question, but I hope that's a good answer. If you can find a way to implement that plugin, maybe through a studio. I mean, if you want me to do it for you, I will.
Just visit infinitebalanceproductions.com.
Sign up for your restoration gig. But yeah, there are little tools like that in the plugin world that will definitely help you to restore recordings to immaculate proportions. I think that's all the questions we have. Big thanks to ToneWoodAmp. Huge thanks to Ari Productions for filming this thing. I don't know if you guys are seeing how cool this like camera switching has been, but these guys are here in Gaylord, Michigan, which is where I live, and they do some amazing streaming, amazing film projects. So check them out. Is it arifilms.com? Arifilms.com.
AWREY.
AWREY films.com. And make sure you go to infinitebalance.com. I'm sorry, infinitebalanceproductions.com. Put in your information. I'll give you guys a quote for your project, and you will be entered to win a Tonewood-Amp. So there hasn't been a ton of people on this stream, so that means your chances are pretty good. So definitely jump on there and try that.
So now with the, just to recap with the submitting, you go to infinitebalanceproductions.com and you submit a form to get a quote. Now, do you have to have something ready to send right away, like have like a snippet of your song right away, or you kind of just maybe send a message to start the correspondence?
Yeah, so you can put a link in that form to like a demo or a YouTube video, anything that you have the song in a rough format. But you don't have to. You can just tell me what it is in the description, and talk. I can just kind of like, feel it out. Maybe we can jump on a phone call and we can hash it out, and I can, probably definitely fulfill your needs for a much smaller number than like a commercial studio or, a team of people. We did get one more question. Don Richard, the writer of Only the Sun Comes Up for Nothing, that first track we played.
That was the Queen one?
Yes.
Yeah, that one was awesome.
Can you play a part from the full version of my song, I'll Pay You $3?
Huh.
Or wait, is that what it is? Wait. Don, your song is deep in production right now, and it's turning out great. I'm super excited about it. You and about 4 other clients right now are kind of in the same zone, so hopefully I'll have something over to you shortly. But anyways, I think that's going to be it for us, you guys. Huge thanks, Tonewood-Amp, Ari Films, Jakey Thomas, my man right here. I love this guy. He's been amazing. And thanks for tuning in, and hope you win a Tonewood-Amp.
Yeah, I hope you do too.
Cheers.